Howdy, AP PreCal. We got interrupted with announcements. It's the first day of school over here, so I cut that part of the video out, and here we go. So we're now going to talk about the average rate of change, and I didn't realize how big of a deal this was this time last year, but after making it through the course, average rate of change doesn't go away. We look at this all year long in all sorts of different contexts. It was surprising to me, not going to lie. So let's get a really solid foundation so that it serves us well the whole year. Okay, so the average rate of change is the ratio of the change in output values over the change in input. Now you might say, well, I recognize that. I know that that would be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And yes, this is the slope. Okay, so the average rate of change is would be the slope between the slope of the line between those 2 points. Okay, but what is going to be more? This is what you would have seen your mathematical life, like starting in Algebra 1 or wherever they start that. What we're going to do more likely is to talk about the average rate of change is, if it's the function f, then we would say f of x2 minus f of x1 over x2 minus x1. So it's the output minus the output over the input minus the input. It's the exact same idea, but we're going to see this with some weird functions, and so sometimes this function notation is really helpful. Okay, so we're back to the 4 ways of arranging things, or of displaying our information, and we're going to find the average rate of change. So they're saying find the average rate of change on the interval from 2 to 7. So I see that this is the point. This f of 2 is equal to, so here's the x value of 2, I think. Can y'all see that? Wah! I think that's a 2. Don't ever get old, because then you lose your vision. I'm not old, I refuse. Okay, so this f of 2 is equal to 2, and then I think this is the point, this is f of 7. Can you see it more clearly than I can? And I think f of 7 is equal to 5. I mean, I wrote this worksheet, but I can't read it. So now, when we want to find the average rate of change, if I'm showing all of my work, I'm going to say f of 7 minus f of 2. They didn't tell me that it was f, but we're going to use that, over 7 minus 2. So what was f of 7? It was 5. What is f of 2? It's 2 over 5. So I see 3 over 5. Often they'll ask you to come up with the decimal approximation, but I always like an exact value. So I would accept this. Will they care? I can't imagine that they wouldn't give you credit for that. The next one, numerically, so on the interval from -4 to 8, so we're going to look at, well, f of -4 would be equal to 1, and f of 8 would be equal to 4. So our average rate of change, and I think that's, I mean, if you're nervous, write out the word average rate of change, but I think that all of AP is going to be familiar with this expression. And so it's f of 8 minus f of -4 over 8 minus -4. F of 8 was 4, f of -4 is 1, over this becomes plus, so that's 12. So I see 3 over 12, which is 1/4. I don't remember that number. I wonder if I worked this already, I think. If I made a mistake, comment below. Maybe I made a mistake on my answer key, and maybe I just am remembering incorrectly. Okay, that is bothering me a little bit. Okay, f of 8 is 4, f of -4 is +1. 8, okay. I mean, I don't see what I did wrong, so maybe I am just misremembering. Okay, next one, if it's analytical here, so then on this one, 2, you'll notice that the +2 is going to live in the world between -2 and +4. So when I find 2, f of 2, I'm going to plug it into the top part of the equation, so that's negative, and this becomes 2 squared plus 4. 2 squared is 4. Make it negative. It's -4 plus 4 is equal to 0. And then f of 5, well, 5 lives between 4 and a 6, so that's 15 minus 10 is, because I plugged in 5 there, and I get 5. So f of 5 is, right, 15 minus 10. Okay, so now the average rate of change, I should have given myself more space. I did not. Is f of 5 minus f of 2 over 5 minus 2. I would recommend setting up your problem. So one, your grader, who is either me or someone else, or AP, knows what you're thinking, what you're intending. And the more you write this out, the more you're not going to have to study what is the average rate of change. You're going to know because you'll have done it so many times. And so this f of 5 we said was 5, f of 2 was 0 over 3. So this is 5/3. There we go. Okay, water is being added to a tub 1 minute after the faucet is turned on. So this might be, I think I called this W of t. So this would be W of 1 would be equal to 4. And then 6 minutes later, so W of 6 would be equal to 14. Oh, that's a 14. Okay, so the average rate of change would be equal to W of 6 minus W of 1. Yeah, over 6 minus 1, which is 4 minus, no, it's 14 minus 4 over 5. So that's 10 over 5, which is 2. Okay. And the next one, the last one here on this particular page, Ms. Kosh opens a banana stand. This is a reference that most of you will probably not get. If you get the reference to the banana stand, comment below. I'm curious to see if anyone catches it. My brothers absolutely love this TV show or whatever it is. And so when I wrote this problem, I sent it to my family and they thought it was funny. Anyway, they're easily, well, I was impressed because I don't always amuse my brothers. Okay, so I open a banana stand on the initial day at t equals 0. I sell 13 bananas. 25 days later, I sell 52 bananas. I totally made up numbers, but it doesn't matter. 35 days later, I sell 37 bananas. And so that's the first question says, find the average rate of change in the number of bananas sold in bananas per day from t equals 25 to 35. So notice on here, I don't really care what happened on day 0. They're just asking me to use 25 and 35. Okay, so for part A, we're going to start with the average rate of change is equal to, it didn't give us a function name. Let's call it B for banana. So B of 35 minus B of 25 over 35 minus 25. B of 35, on day 35, I sold 37 bananas. On day 25, I sold 52 bananas. And this is over 10. 52, if I take away, hang on, add 5, I'm at to 42. Okay, so that's 15, so it's a negative 15 over 10 is equal to a negative 3/2. Okay, so the next part, let's use some more paper. So what is this saying? It's saying that my number of bananas sold goes down by 1.5 bananas per day. So you can't, I don't imagine I'm selling half bananas, but anyway, that's what this is working out to be. Part B says use the average rate of change found in part A to estimate, and this was definitely something that AP liked to ask, to estimate the number of bananas sold on day 30. Okay, so and we're going to talk about this more later, and this is just an estimate, but there's 2 ways that I like to think about this one. Method 1, this is what I prefer, was using the slope formula. Okay, and so what I'm going to say here is that the average rate of change would be equal to f of, well, let's put the 30 here, f of 30 minus f of 25 over 30 minus 25. Okay, so this is just, what I've done is I no longer am using 35 and 25. I wanted this one to be positive, so I put it first. And so I used the value that I knew that was smaller than that. I could do the other way, where I used 35 and 30, but I chose not to. So partly just to keep things positive. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm trying to solve for f of 30. So I'm going to plug in everything else that I know and then clean up the formula. My average rate of change, if you remember from just a second ago, was negative 3/2 is equal to f of 30 minus, what was f of 25? Let's look back to the problem. F of 25 was 52. 30 minus 25 is 5. Okay, so what I see right here is I see a fraction, and I can cross multiply. So when I do, I get negative 15 is equal to 2 times f of 30 minus 2 times 52 is 104. Okay, I'm going to add 104 to both sides. You know what? I don't want you mocking me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so, and this is probably going to have a decimal answer anyway. So negative 15 plus 104. Yes, I should have just done that. But I have 89 is equal to 2 times f of 30. What am I ultimately trying to solve for? F of 30 divided by 2. 89 over 2 is equal to f of 30. Well, what does 89 over 2 mean? Well, that means that I sold 44.5 bananas on the 30th day, which is probably not accurate, but 44 1/2, that's probably not how we like to write things in higher math, but 44.5 bananas. on that day. Okay, the other method is actually what I saw more of when I was looking at the other teachers' material for AP PreCal. And what I think they did, now to be honest with you, I didn't go back and look this year, but method 2 would be using the secant line. Okay, and so we're using the point slope formula. Now the reason this one doesn't come naturally to me, I kind of have to power through it. So if I remember the point slope formula, it's y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. You may notice that what I did is I multiplied both sides by x1 minus x2 minus x1. So, I need a parentheses. If I manipulate this formula and just multiply both sides by this right here, I end up with that. I was just saying instead of y2, so I could call this y2 and x2 if I feel so inclined. So we can think about this as f of, what did we want? We wanted f of 30 minus, we know f of 25 is equal to the average rate of change, or we're gonna, well, let's plug it in. It was negative 3/2. We need, our x2 was 30, our y2, our x1. Our x values are 30 and 25, okay? So we plugged those in. And so now I'm trying to find f of 30 would be equal to negative 3/2 times, I'm not gonna simplify this yet. I think that there were some equations where they would use this and plug things in. And so they might have written it this way. They might say like f of x2 is equal to the average rate of change times x2 minus x1 plus f of x1. So I think I saw formulas similar to that. I'm not quite sure, but to be honest with you, this slope method makes more sense to me intuitively. So let's just do good math to a good answer and see what happens. Okay, so this is negative 3/2 times 5, so it's negative 15 over 2, plus what was f of 25, I already forgot. I sold 52 bananas. And this is equal to f of 30. Okay, so let's see. 52 minus 7.5, and that's the same value that we got just a second ago. So 44.5 bananas. All right, that's how I'm gonna teach the first day that I actually teach, and so I have practice for that, and then we'll go from there. So like, subscribe, comment down below, do all the things, and I will see you in the next video.